Well, I'll tell
If
you.
there's
I'll tell
like
you.
3 or 5 times more paper dollars suddenly came into existence within, say, the country of US of A, within the country itself in the domestic market, why there's no sudden influx of hyperinflation? Okay, I know it's man-made. Don't get me wrong. I'm not foolish. Okay,
I'll
I
tell you.
know there's controlling mechanism that suppress everything and keep it low that way to so that they can kick the can down the road. But here's my suspicion. Okay,
Okay, but
A,
okay, go ahead.
some of these duplicate or triplicate phony money was outside of the country.
Correct.
Okay, it could
It's,
be
it's
in
called it's called
CCPs,
laundering.
warehouses.
It's called laundering through donations, like
Right,
things like a
right.
certain war in another country, which we've been hearing
That's
about
right.
a lot lately.
That's right. That's right. So here's my suspicion, okay? I welcome any criticisms, I welcome any feedbacks and alternative suggestions that would help me open this up my mind and try to think of it differently. So I love it, okay? But here's the deal. Here's my suspicion. I suspect that there's a whole bunch of phony monies that came out of both QE1 and QE2 that didn't get back into the country, into the domestic market, but instead was kept outside of the country, say, for example, in CCP's warehouses within China.
Okay, let's start at fundamentals here. If you print
Yes,
a huge amount of money in your own economy, that's called
right.
inflation. Okay,
Yeah,
you cannot do that without raising prices and for everyone
exactly.
in
Exactly.
your citizenry. But
Exactly.
if you can export that money overseas to other
That's
people who
right.
need it for whatever reason, then you
That's
can
right.
reduce the pressure. It's like a steam
That's right.
release valve, okay?
Exactly.
And that
Exactly.
pressure is
And not only
reduced.
that, through some
Uh,
tricky mechanism.
yeah, calm down for a second. I want to just
Okay.
finish the thought.
Oh, yes,
If you
please.
reduce this pressure, like a steam engine produces steam, then you can preserve your own economy at the
Right.
expense of the atmosphere.
Right.
And the atmosphere is everybody else. All those
That's
other
right.
nations in the world. They have to
That's
suck
right.
it up. They have to
That's right.
absorb
That's
your
right.
excess money printing heat.
Right.
And that's what's been going on. Now, how can you possibly induce anybody to suffer damage at your expense? Well, you can do it through brute force.
Good
And
force.
brute force
Um,
is known as things like sanctions,
yes.
threat of war, internal
Eh,
destabilization with
It's
terrorist
definitely out.
attacks. And it could even be
Yes.
possible that higher
Yes.
technologies are being, moved into position to target
Yes.
you with
Yes.
weather anomalies.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh
natural
yeah.
disasters? Could it be? Maybe
Oh
an
yeah.
earthquake or two, or even a tsunami.
Yep. Like Japan, the Fukushima thing.
Exactly, and this is the
Okay.
pattern, and this is the way that the Roman Empire also operated in its last days.
That's
It
right.
threatened everybody who did
That's
not
right.
accept uh, its its
Currency.
its currency, which
Right.
well, things were a little bit different in those days because actually the currency was based on precious metals, but it got debased. What
It got
happened?
debased and it got
Yeah,
severely
yeah.
watered down at
It
its
got watered
heyday.
down.
I think
Yes,
Roman Empire actually, the regions under the governance of Rome, the
yes.
faraway ones, those regional governors actually skim
Skimmed it out.
the
Taxes.
silver coins by cutting off, nicking the corners or flatten it further, and
That was
then
one
cut
way.
it off so that it weighs less.
That
Okay,
was one way, and it's a
right,
primitive method compared to today.
right,
But what they did is
right.
they first of all they started shaving off the outer edges, and that's why
That's right.
old coins and indeed modern coins have ridges,
Exactly.
because you can
Exactly.
see if they
Cannot be
shaved off the
shaved.
edge, right? Can't be shaved.
That's
And the
right.
other thing they
That's
did
right.
was they mixed the pure gold
Sure.
mixed it with silver.
Sure.
Now we have, instead of 18 karat,
Right.
instead of 24 karat pure gold, you have 18 karat, 10 karat.
Right.
That's
Right.
mixed with silver, man,
Sure.
and that's much
Sure.
cheaper. So there's all this debasement going on. Now
That's
that's
right.
a primitive example of exactly what's happening today, except
Sure.
it's being done in a digital realm.
It's been done in a digital way. Those phony duplicate monies during QE1 and QE2,
Yes.
most of them, I wouldn't say all, I don't know deep inside
Mm-hmm.
the exact situation, but I have a strong suspicion that most of these phony monies, duplicate or triplicates and so on, were kept offshore in certain countries like China, developing countries like China, or even in the oil producing countries like Saudi Arabia. The Saudis got tricked into doing all these and took on the most brunt because up until that day, those money were still being, American dollars is still being perceived and primarily exchanged for as a form of petrodollar, just like what Jim Willie says.
No, what's a petrodollar? A petrodollar is something that's actually tied to an asset. It doesn't matter
right.
if you talk about dollars all day and all night.
Right.
If it's not tied to
Right.
a tangible
Right.
asset, such as a
Right.
precious metal or
Right.
a something like oil, which is similar to a precious metal in that it has actual value.
Right.
We need it.
Right.
It has to
But
be taken.
But here's my suspicion, sir.
Yes.
Back in year 2008, China was still strong. The economy was still very strong.
Mhm.
Okay, the American deep state controlled government was using all the same dirty tricks of forcing them to buy U.S. T-bills and T-bonds in exchange for the worthless non-asset back green bucks in exchange for the materials and goods and foods and car parts and so on, right?
But that's no
Japan
longer
actually,
that's no longer the case. You see, in the old days,
yes,
you'd have
yes,
to buy the American dollar in order to get the technology, in order to get the
yes.
machine tools, in order to get the the things that you needed to make.
Obama and
But
Clinton
then
and the Bush and the Obamas actually sold them off.
Yes, but then everything sort of changed. No longer does the Asian peoples, especially China, need anything from the West.
True.
What do
but
they
America
need? What do they
becomes a
need?
net importer for goods like car parts, brick pads, and so on.
Oh, they have
So
a
we need
market.
China.
They have a market.
Okay.
But when you have a
It's still-
market and you can't pay,
Right.
well, then what kind of market is that? So the problem
Well,
with
they
it,
just keep forcing you to buy the phony, worthless T-bills.
and what if you say no?
Well, they kill you.
They'll kill you. That's the point here.
Right. So because of all these pressures, the coercive, blackmailing, killing you off, dirty, filthy pressure tactics,
Yes.
the Chinese was holding on to these phony duplicate monies in certain warehouses all over the place.
Yes, correct.
They're too afraid to release them out in the public.
They can't because that
Okay,
would destroy
they
the market.
cannot.
That would destroy the
But
economy.
now with the US dollars came crumbling because of the pandemic and the deep state
Bankruptcy.
control government starts crumbling,
Mm-hmm.
they and then of course there's all these phony Operation Mockingbirds mainstream media drumming up the news that the BRIC system, the precious metal backed system, August led by China and Russia and India are becoming Indonesia are becoming strong and it will be the future. U.S. greenbacks is no longer the only foreign exchange currency of choice. It will be crumbling down. So CCPs, I suspect that the CCP guys, the dirty guys, realize that now is a golden opportunity to try to sneak these phony duplicate monies back into the country. Some of them came in from Canada. Others of them came in from different means. Okay. And that may have led
that
to
is
the
an
reason
act of
why
desperation.
Kim,
That is an act
Right?
of desperation. And I'd like to just pause for a second,
Oh, please. Yeah, I'm
I
listening.
want to, add something to the conversation here, and that is
Oh,
that
please,
when
please.
you these things that we're seeing are
Yeah.
acts of desperation and money laundering, because
Yes.
it's a small drop in the pond of a world economy. And a world economy is a huge thing to behold. And many people are
Sure.
overwhelmed and are unable to understand how it possibly works. And they just think about their homes and their families and what
That's
they
right.
need every day, to go to the supermarket and buy some eggs and milk. Okay?
That's
So the
right.
point
Yeah.
is that there's something else behind all this. And that is a
Yes.
overriding global system
Correct.
that is what you know what that is? It's a control mechanism on you.
Correct.
It's designed to keep you in ignorance and
Correct.
under control. And
That's
and
right.
and that's what it's all about. And the mechanism by which it works is so far beyond your
Yes.
comprehension that
That's right.
you just go numb at the very
That's right.
thought of it.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's by design because
Right.
it's decentralized and
Right.
it's international,
Yes.
and it always has been since at least 200 years and perhaps longer.
Sure. Sure.
And that's
But
what
so
that's
far,
yes,
Tim,
yes,
so
sir.
far, does my analysis sound to you?
It is very sound, and
Okay.
I'd like to add a few more things.
Yes, please,
One of the
please,
things I'd like to
please
add
do.
is that when you no longer
Hmm.
offer real money for
That's
your
right.
international obligations, when you no
That's
longer
right.
offer anything that people can really use and they
That's
no
right.
longer believe in, it's very psychological. For example, a piece of
Sure.
gold. A piece of
Yes.
gold is not useful, is it?
Correct.
Can you eat it? No.
No.
But everybody worships it as something valuable.
That's right.
So, well, whatever. We have a psychological control mechanism here, don't we?
Correct.
All
Correct.
right. So, well, let's go with
Correct.
it.
Yeah.
You know. Now,
So,
now, 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 stop. Now
okay, sorry.
let's look at the other side. Let's look at the American dollar.
Yes.
Was the American dollar like a piece of gold? In the past, yes, it
In the
was.
past,
In the
yes.
past, yes, it was. It was no different, maybe even better. Maybe
Right.
even better, because if you held those American dollars, you could buy anything,
Sure.
anytime, anywhere. And gold
That's right.
was heavy and hard to carry around and not so
Correct.
easy to exchange.
Yeah.
So, boy, oh boy, the American dollar was king.
Yeah.
Now, it's all psychological again, because we're not talking
You
about something
bet.
you can eat. You're not talking
That's
about
right.
something you can, feed your family with or grow
That's
crops
right.
with. It's just something that we believe in.
Correct.
Now, if that
Correct.
belief suddenly changes and the collective
That's right.
consciousness of the entire race of humans
Yep. Yeah.
decides differently,
Yep.
then we live in a new world,
That's
don't
right.
we?
That's right. So it's absolutely fascinating. Okay. I just want to add one more point.
Please.
Well, two more points. Okay. First, there is definitely an abnormality going on within my local community where there's a sudden huge influx of these people. You see, these mainlanders suddenly got filthy rich overnight farmers and peasants. First off, their
Got it.
skin is dark. Secondly, there's
Mainland China.
extremely shallow and materialistic.
Hmm.
Okay, all they ever care for is money, money, money,
Hmm.
money, and they love to show off their wealth.
Are they desperate
Okay, that's why they're
refugees coming
driving
to a
their
safe
Mercedes
haven?
Benz. They're driving their upscale, top of the line Mercedes Benz, Bentleys, and Rolls Royce up and down the street.
I'm going to
Okay,
repeat. Are
if
they
you are
desperate
aristocratic
refugees?
class or super elites or something like that,
Yeah,
you ought to be able to afford to hire a chauffeur.
got it.
You will be the one that lives like a king and sit behind the back seat. You
Hmm.
won't be driving the car.
Hmm.
Okay, and then okay, they're showing off their wealth. I know there's a sudden influx of money. I don't know whether it's through money laundering from River Rock Casino or whatever. I didn't put much effort
Over
into that
hundreds of
anymore.
years, the
But here's the
mechanisms
deal.
have been there.
But here's the deal, okay? There is an anomaly going on. There must be some filthy money that suddenly surge and basically infiltrate into our Canadian economic systems.
Got it.
Okay, at this moment, I couldn't tell you how bad it is. I couldn't tell you what the potential outcome would be. Will it suddenly leads to an overnight bust because of phony money? Will there ever be an investigation and so on? The tax agencies or whatever, will they investigate? I don't know. Okay, we have been bought out. We have been sold down the river by Turtle government to CCP several years ago, at least. Okay, at this moment, I couldn't see
Well,
too
first
much
of all,
beyond that point.
First of all, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I'm a student of history, and I've seen it. I've seen it, not personally, but I've studied it all before.
Sure.
In 1944, 1945,
Correct.
there was a huge, massive conveyance of wealth
That's right.
from Germany to safe havens around the world, especially Switzerland, in the form of gold,
That's right.
in the form of commodities.
Sure.
And actually, it was all gold because they wouldn't accept the Reichsmark because it's just paper.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
Now, the thing right now is that we're dealing with a situation where it's not quite the end yet.
That's
Canada and other Western countries are still accepting paper currency
Correct.
from the malefactors, from the mafia of the criminals
That's right.
of other countries. And I'm not mentioning any particular country,
Sure.
just any country.
Sure.
They're desperate. They're trying to move their
That's right.
assets. They're trying to move their wealth.
That's right.
And you know what? What's coming up next? We're going to see gold bars at the airports. We're going to see diamonds at the airports because those are the tangible, real currency. The real assets. And it's just so obvious. And we've seen it before,
course.
and it's going to happen again. And
Of
these
course.
people. I mean, if you have to do that, are you a sovereign person living on the land with your family and your kids?
No.
Are you a decent human being who's taking
No.
care of what you should do in your life? No, you are a raper, a pillager,
Yep.
a
right.
conquistador, a utilizer of human energy for your own selfish gain. And these people have obviously think in their own selfish minds that
Of
the
course.
accumulation of what they think is wealth is somehow going to make them feel better.
Right. Indeed.
Well, it doesn't
Okay.
make me feel better. It doesn't make you feel better. So how come it makes them feel better? Well, I don't know. Maybe doing evil and suffering and causing suffering and hardship to others makes some people feel better. But I call those people sadistic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you call them?
Yeah, I would say I would call the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so so there is also the other aspects of this sudden influx of these huge influx of these mainlanders, we call them. Okay?
Please tell us.
There's got to be some political instability within the country.
Right.
If it's really that rosy, everything else is so rosy. China is leading the way. President Xi is leading the way, forming BRICS. Precious metal, gold currency, blah blah blah. Everything is so rosy. Everything is well under control. I know this.
Is that true?
I know the zero
Is that
COVID
true?
policy is a bust. Okay.
Was
But
any
that's
of
not
is
the
any
point.
of
The
that
point
working?
is if it is what they said, just like the Operation Mockingbird mainstream media says, everything is so rosy over there. They gotta lead the way to become the world's prominent, leaders, in currencies, and they're so economically superpowers and so on. Then why would people suddenly leave?
Why are the rats
Like
leaving?
crazy?
Why are the rats leaving the
Exactly. Why are the
sinking
rats
ship?
jumping off ships?
Exactly.
Right? So something is not right going on inside.
Well, there used to be a man who said, "There's something rotten in the state of Denmark.
That's right. That's right.
And,
Right.
that rot is difficult to see on the surface. People
Sure.
might be behaving in a way
Right.
that contradicts what the government
Sure.
says. And
Sure.
you know what? I'm going to look at the
What?
way people behave before I
Sure.
believe the propaganda of the government. How about you?
Sure. Yeah, yeah, I would do so too. Okay. So that is the very interesting question I've been asking myself since this afternoon. Okay, what's really going on? Okay, I know for a fact that, Middle East oil producing countries like Saudi Arabia and so on, the formal allies or the former allies of the US deep state government, you know, they must have been conned and tricked into this game after so many decades. Of course, they're not very happy, but on the other hand, they were not in a position to rebel against the deep state controlled U.S. government. And there must be some other various reasons too, but that's beyond me. But I
Okay.
also suspect that because to these oil producing countries,
Hmm.
their oil is really dirt cheap
Correct. It comes
to
out of the
produce.
ground
Okay,
almost for free.
that's right. Basically, they got it for free. They just have to incur some cost, overhead cost to it
Transportation,
before they
yeah.
shipped out. So even though they were tricked into holding some 50, like $70 worth of fake, phony, duplicate U.S. green bucks, based on like what, $70 US per barrel or something like that. They were tricked to hold on to those things. It doesn't it the impact on them is not as great as other countries. And because of
Obviously.
that, they're still holding back on to like rising up and rebel against the deep state,
That's because they
the
have
US
something
deep
of
state
value.
government.
That's because they have
That's right.
something of value, and all the resistance against
That's
the
right.
the current control system of this planet, which
Exactly.
is a certain country, which I'm not going to
That's right.
mention,
Of course.
is
Right.
I'm not going to say that word. It's
Sure.
built upon
Yeah.
the concept of control,
Sure.
but that control mechanism is no longer effective because it's not backed by
Correct.
anything valuable,
Correct.
and value is what people think about in this
Hmm.
earth on this planet, and
That's
when
right.
you
The
have
perception
something
of material
exactly, and
values.
when you have something of value, you feel safe, and when
That's
you
right.
don't have something of value, you feel threatened. And what
That's
do
right.
people do when they feel threatened? They lash out, they
That's
attack,
right.
and they
That's
try
right.
to cause wars, suffering, and
Correct.
violence against somebody else. And if you
You
look at the
bet.
schoolboy built bully
That's right.
who gets insulted because he, might be too fat or
That's
too
right.
dumb,
That's right.
and what does he do? He lashes out with his big fat fist against
That's right.
anyone who might be seen criticizing him. And that's
Correct.
the situation in the world right now. The bully
Correct.
is being taken
Right.
down.
You bet. And here's the funny thing, okay? As much as those Wefers at Davos and they try to come up with new ideas to terrorize us, with their evil, diabolical schemes and plans, guess
Mm-hmm.
what?
What?
WHO
Yes.
was supposedly having annual meetings, high-level gatherings over at
Mm-hmm.
Geneva
Uh-huh.
at late February and ends earlier this
Right.
past week.
Got it.
But since then, there's no new news, no new broadcast, no new pandemic announcements, and nothing.
Hmm. Well, first of
Doesn't
all,
that sound weird to you? I
no, it
thought I
doesn't
thought Bill
sound.
Gates and everybody else still trying to terrorize us
It doesn't
for
sound
making all
weird to
sorts of.
me because the bully can only survive as long as people believe and
That's right.
are afraid of their
That's
bullying
right.
tactics.
That's
And
right.
as soon as they're seen as weak and seen
Yes.
as insignificant,
That's
their
right.
power is gone.
Correct.
And that's what we're
So
dealing with. Okay, I'm going to stop
you
you.
know,
Stop. I'm going to go back to the psychology of the whole situation. Remember, money itself is built on psychology. A value itself, such as gold and other things, is built on psychology. And if you don't believe in the bully,
Yes,
then you've got freedom from that
that's right.
control mechanism.
Sure.
And
Sure.
that's the situation we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with a transition. A transition
Yeah.
from a control mechanism built
Yeah.
on all kinds of fear and bullying
Correct.
to one built on freedom and self.
Yep. Yep. No, I'm
Self
in totally agreement with you. That is awesome.
enfranchisement, self, the ability to feed yourself, the ability to take care of your family, the ability to be self-sufficient and no longer dependent upon this horrible elite system that's kept us in chains
Correct.
for so long.
Correct. Well,
Stop.
at least I'm grateful. I'm really glad and not grateful to report that, although it may sound a little bit premature,
Yes.
the fact of the matter is there hasn't been any new form of train derailment or fake phony potential, disasters triggered and sabotage and triggered by the deep state.
Oh, have
You
you
know,
noticed that one of the things that they use is called a cattle prod?
right?
You know what a cattle prod is?
Of course.
No, you don't. A cattle prod is a electronic device which puts out a couple hundred volts that you
Yep,
stick up the ass of a cow in order to make it
that's
move.
right.
Okay?
Yep, I know.
Now, we've been
I know.
subjected to that kind of situation for a long
Right.
time. And
Right.
I'm using a lurid example.
Sure. Sure.
But basically, that's the mechanism under which we've been herded. We've been herded by electroshock,
That's right.
also known as fear.
That's right.
Well,
But
are you happy being a cow, being pushed around like that? No, you're not. So how are you going to free yourself? Well, there's two ways to free yourself. One of them is to know that the cattle prod is coming and heading to your anus, and therefore you run.
right.
And the other one is you kill the cowboy
That's right.
with your horns.
Sure.
Well, what's it going to be? It's difficult to kill the cowboy with your horns when you're in a corral,
Right.
all right? So you might need some help.
That's right.
We're in a situation which is hard to fathom. It's hard
It
to
is.
understand.
It's,
But
it is.
basically, as we discussed before, you're like the chicken in the coop that is
Right.
being exploited, and not only just for
Right.
your eggs, it's
That's
for your
right.
even your body heat is being harvested.
Oh, yeah.
And you're being fed. Perhaps maybe there's too many chickens. Maybe we're gonna put some arsenic in the feed.
Right.
Get rid of a few.
That's right.
Yeah. But what we see around us right now is a sea change, something
Yes.
that's beyond normal. It's
Beyond normal.
yeah,
Yes.
and banks collapsing
That's right.
and the entire world economy grinding to a halt is an extreme possibility in the very near future.
Correct.